Welcome to another edition of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains, and I'm going to really tell you right off the bat that this is kind of a different type of show for us, in that we're kind of in a rebuttal, shall we say, or in a mode where we're going to talk a little bit more about one of our most famous, or to some people infamous, episodes on the Peralta mine, or one of the Peralta mines with a big question mark. And a lot of people took that seriously. And although we would love to think it was one of those, we know it wasn't.
Right.
I believe that it's a cache that was used for things. But a lot of people, Larry, and the reason I wanted to have my co-host here, so to speak, on here, is that you've been up there, well, 3 times now, including us, but you were up there in 58, was it? Mm-hmm. And then 72?
68 to somewhere around early 70s.
Okay, so you were up there, and we're getting people disputing that we were even up, that we made it all up, that it's not where we say it is, that it's not in the superstitions, that there was a big stone covering it at one time, that the ladder that's in there is not from the 17 or 1800s rather, you know. And you were actually there. So what do you remember? Of course, we're not saying that the ladder is from that time period. I don't think we ever said the ladder was from that time period. But some people are they're disputing this and how long it took us to get there, which was an arduous task. It took us, about 4 hours? And we have people disputing that. But you know, here's the deal. When we went up there, we had no idea what to expect. We'll admit that. We didn't think it was gonna, we thought it was gonna be like most of our hikes, which is just, okay, here we are, we're gonna get there. And there was a trail there or something. There was no trail. And well, if you've seen the episode or pictures, your arms were all just peeled off. Mine was a little bit, but not as bad as yours. Dave with the camera, I mean, I pity him. You know, like all reality shows, it's like it's the cameraman that I feel sorry for, and our co-producer, and you know, big part of this show was carrying the camera up there. And it was a long, hard hike. Sometimes we were jumping from, literally, I was, from a cliff to cliff, simply because we were like going in different directions trying to get there. And then once we got underneath it, if you remember, and I'm sure Dave over here remembers, when we got just below it, where it's supposed to be, the cliff, I was so sick, and I'm telling you, I puked. Yep. You know, I not a lot, but I did. I was sick. I was sick to my stomach. And you were tired, and I just said, Dave, go on up there and get it. He was psyched. He wanted to get it. Right, Dave? Wanted to get that. And so he went up there. There was no trail to it from there. He literally was going through cat claw and brush because there was no trail to this ledge, to this area. So it was obvious that nobody had been up there for ages. And once he got through, and that took it took Dave probably better part of an hour or more, literally, I'd say, to get there. And when he got up there, we could hear him, "Whoa! You guys got to come up here and see this." And I'm looking at you like, "Oh, just take some shots, Dave." "No, you really have to come up here and see this." And we did, fortunately, and that's what they see. And then we get some comments saying, "Well, it's too bad you couldn't go down in there." Well, I did go down in there, and there are pictures, I believe, on the show, but there are pictures on the site of me shooting up at you guys, looking down like, what an idiot. You know, and so a lot of these things need to be dispelled as far as what they're saying. Was it in the Superstition Mountains? The ladder, the wheelbarrow. Somebody was talking about the wheelbarrow that was up there that's no longer there, and they wanted you to draw a copy of the wheelbarrow. Well, you know, he'll draw it, and what do you sell it for, like 25, 30 bucks or something? Anyway, I've gone on enough. Tell us, dispel some of this stuff.
Well, when we decided to go up, or let me put it this way, when Hart Mullins took us up there, we didn't go the same direction that we went.
Well, what was the date on that?
That was 1958.
Okay.
And you guys we just wanted to go in a kind of a straight line over there, and And we got tied up in that major wash, and there was so much brush in the wash that we couldn't really get out till we went well past where we wanted to get out, and then had to work our way back. And we were on the north side of all the wash and brush, but when Hart took us up there, we were on the south side of that. We didn't have to fight that kind of thing. Now, they had some claims up there on the Three Red Hills where we could drive about half of it, and then we only had to walk about half of it.
Which was closed off.
Which is now closed
Yeah.
off. Evidently, the Forest Service put a bunch of boulders in front of that road, and you can hardly even find it. And when we got up there, the hole wasn't as deep as it is now, because they were working on it. Hart and his brother Jesse took us up there, and there wasn't a ladder there at the time. And the second trip I took back was with that senator from, I think I said Iowa, but it was really Ohio. His name was John Dingell. I looked him up. He just died here not too long ago.
This was John Dingell.
John Dingell. And
John or Don Dingell?
John.
Okay.
Senator John, his wife took his place in the Senate, I think it was. It may have been a state Senate,
Okay.
rather than a federal Senate.
All right.
But Wilson Lund, Mr. Wilson was the other fellow involved. It was the owner of Wilson Lund Photography in the Quad City area. And that's where I met him and told him the story of the Lost Dutchman, and they flew down to have me take him to that point. And I really, as I remember it and looked it up, I think it was more towards the mid-70s than 1968. But now when we went back, it was much deeper. Now, Hart Mullins died in 1960, okay? But his brother didn't die in 1960. In fact, I have a book that the author said that he met him in 1975 and gave him a ride from Millsite Canyon back down to the Queen Creek. And so Jesse was still alive in the mid-70s, and he's probably the one that put the ladder in there as they dug it deeper and deeper. And so that, it's a redwood ladder. It's in a cave. It's no sun could get to it. No water could get to it. And it's very well preserved.
Safe from the elements.
Safe from the elements. And then, of course, you had the logs that were across the top. I think there was only 2 of them left that were there in the 50s. And
They had been there a
70s.
while.
They'd been there a long time.
Yeah.
And they weren't that far gone, but they'd been there a lot longer. So that ladder probably was not left there until the mid-70s or earlier. So there goes the business about that thing was not 103 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
Never,
that was a
we
misconception.
never said it was.
That was a misconception. People said that ladder is not over 100 years old. Well, nobody said it was.
And as far as hiking out, we were coming down a 60% slope, and I had to step off a small ledge to, I mentioned when you went down in there in the hole, that my legs were gone. I wasn't about to go down in there. Well, my left knee went out from under me, and I took a tremendous crash. And I was pretty well tore up, and 3 weeks later, I had a stroke. Now, I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but...
Well, it didn't help.
it didn't help.
Yeah, it didn't help, and well, we're sorry about that.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. No, I'm sorry.
As far as us being amateurs, I've been in the mountains probably 30 times.
Yeah, well,
But I never did it on foot.
Yeah.
I always rode a horse.
Yeah, well, I did it either or, and he was talking about the long sleeves. Why weren't you wearing? I did, but the thing is it cut the sleeves up to ribbons on my shirt.
Yeah.
And that didn't look good on camera. So, some things you do for the audience, but
But we went the wrong way.
Well, we did.
And
We will
anybody-
admit we went the wrong way, but even if you go the right way, it's going to take you 2 or 3 hours.
You won't have as much brush, but
But we did clear the way for you a bit.
Yeah.
Dave did. He's the tallest. He cleared the way for all of us to get through.
to correct something, there is a little bit of trail left at the end, but we didn't use it. We had to climb up to it, and then we were only 15 yards from the cave.
Well, a lot of the trail had been covered over at the
Yeah,
cat claw. That's a hard thing to say.
There's at least
Cat claw.
50 yards of that trail left on the
Yeah,
cliffside.
you're right, but I mean it was obvious nobody had been up there for a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Now, what happened to the wheelbarrow?
Oh, well, my dad took it out and put it in his yard for yard art, and he died in '66, and when we come out here to take care of his affairs, it was gone. So 3 or 4 days after he died, we were out here, and somebody stole it.
Yeah. And by the way, there is a cell phone out there, if anybody finds it. It's
Yeah.
not the Dutchman's. It's not a Peralta's.
It's mine.
There is a cell phone. I'm sure it's not in service anymore and probably doesn't work anyway now. But yeah, it was an amazing trip, one of the most exciting. And Dave did go back. Scott, was it Scott that with Scott, our drone pilot, so to speak, and they got some more footage. We did get some drone footage before, but this one was able to go back a little bit further and show a little more of this area that we're talking about, and we're going to show that.
I haven't seen it yet, but it actually shows the cave opening, doesn't it?
It shows the cave opening, shows all of that. Does
Yeah.
it show the mine in there? Or does not show the mine, but it does show the cave opening where we were. Too bad I would have hiked back up there so that they could get that and I could wave at them. Not.
And it's like you said in the cave. It says, if I hadn't come along, you wouldn't have found it.
No, wouldn't have found it.
These guys that didn't find it are all complaining.
Well, they're complaining. And then as you were going down, I just had to go over to the, there was another prospect over to the side of it where the walls are so smooth. I mean, they are smooth.
It's on a fault.
So, yeah, and you know, that went back a ways and just, there was like a little small prospect there. But the entranceway did go back there, and I did post that on the website. But we're going to take a look at this drone footage. And in closing here, is there anything you would like to say to the naysayers?
Well, yeah. You can call us amateurs if you want, but if you didn't know where you were going and didn't find it, it seems like to me there's a few amateurs out there besides us.
Well, thank you. You know, that we don't claim to be looking for the gold at all.
Oh,
this is our goal, doing this show, literally. And we don't claim that we are going to rappel somewhere. Someone mentioned, why didn't you rappel down to the bottom of this pit? Why? I climbed down the ladder.
Yeah.
And besides rappel, got to jump down there pretty much, if you were healthy. But these naysayers just go, do it. I think we've given them enough clues, and we told people don't do it because it's dangerous. But if you're prepared, as you all that are naysayers say you are, then I would expect that you would be prepared with the right dress, as they said, and you know, all the different things they would need. Rappelling rope, you don't forget that, and enough water, some food to eat. You know, if you have that, and you are the experts that you say you are,
Yeah.
have at it. I think we've given you the clues.
Two things I want to address that were mentioned was it didn't look like it was an ore body. Well, we told you right off he wasn't digging an ore body. He was looking for a cache.
Yeah, and that's what you go there and you look at it, and yeah, it's obviously a cache. Now, the place I went to where it was smooth and all that looked more like a place they were looking for something. But this obviously is a cache. You'd be stupid to keep going down there looking for something, because you're not going to find silver, you're not going to find gold, copper, what have you. You're not going to find it there, and that's obvious. It had to be a cache that they would store stuff to come back and get it later.
The other thing is I mentioned it was bear country. Well, I've been out there, not going to the mine, but I've been out to Bayous Butte many, many times, and at least twice I can think of. There was an old sow with 2 cubs way off in the distance, and another time a full-grown bear. Bears are like gold. It's where you find them.
Well, seeing as not a lot of people found the gold there, maybe we won't see a bear. But anyway, we had to dispel some of that. We're still going to get some naysayers out there that say, yeah, well, yeah, this and that, and that's fine. Just, you know, clean up your language a little bit.
They can believe anything they want. They have every right to believe what they want, but they don't have the right to tell me what to believe.
Yeah, well, this is America. I'll believe what I want to. So anyway, thank you, and hopefully we dispelled some of these mysteries of the Superstition Mountains.